Who's the first?
As the grammarian, it's my job to be the all counter as well as count filler words. I will also keep track of use of the word of the day, which is myriad, meaning a very great or indefinitely great number of persons or things.
I am. So I will be the timer for tonight. My job is to time everyone's speech, make sure they stay within time limits, and when they reach certain time periods, I will hold up these cards to verify that they have approached those time periods. And I will also record the time of the table topics and the first and second evaluator.
Thank you. And Toastmaster? Oh no, table topic.
Table topics master, I will be the table topics master and giving out table topics. It will be from 1 to 2 minutes on whatever subject you have to get. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. What else? General evaluator.
Yes, I'm also the general evaluator. Wearing 2 hats tonight. I will take the meeting as a whole and give an overview of the meeting and introduce the first and second evaluator, timer, and grammarian.
Thank you. Now we have our first speaker, Lawrence. Oh, sorry. Thomas.
Fellow Toastmasters, I'd like to talk about a subject that has been the bane of every child's existence as far back as many people can remember, and that's homework. I'm talking to you about it today not just as the bane of all of your children or grandchildren's existence, but also in many of our jobs or daily lives, we're going to have the ability to be instructors or trainers in some way. And so we will have the opportunity to give out an assignment for after we've been with them, or in other words, homework. One of the poems that I remember from homework as a kid was the poem by Jack Prelutsky that very much defined how I saw homework, possibly all the way to this day. It opens, "Homework, oh homework, I hate you, you stink. I wish I could wash you away in the sink. If only a bomb would explode you to bits. Homework, oh homework, you're giving me fits." According to the American Society of Educators, or the Teachers Union for lack of a better way of putting it, we should have about, for a child, 10 minutes of homework per grade level. That would mean kindergarten is 0, first grade is 10 minutes, all the way up to 12th grade, which would be about 2 hours of homework, or 120 minutes. I know that when I was in high school, I don't know about you all, but I had way more than 120 minutes of homework in high school. And that, not just talking about my senior year. It got to the point that by the time I graduated from high school, I was done with the whole education thing. In fact, I very much mirrored the second verse of that poem, where it says, "I'd rather take baths with a man-eating shark, or wrestle a lion alone in the dark, eat spinach and liver," which neither of them do I like, "pet 10 porcupines, and tackle the homework that my teacher assigns." It wasn't the fact that I had homework. It was the fact that I would get home from school at 3:30. And until about 6:30, when my mom would stop me from doing my homework to go eat dinner for an hour, and then picking up at 7:30 till at least 8:30, sometimes 10:30, I was doing homework 5 days a week. I was doing as much homework as I was in school. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, not just the 10-minute rule for us who will be having the ability to give out homework, but also to tell you that it's a problem that's systematic in our school systems. We all have the power to change this because school boards are elected. elected officials control how people are trained and implement things in our schools. Finland, 30 years ago, and the United States were comparable in educational standards and outputs. The two countries both sat in about the middle of the pack of the 100 developed nations, right at 50-ish. But 30 years ago, each of them made a different decision. The United States decided that we needed to be more rigorous and start learning earlier. That hardcore, very focused learning. Finland took the exact opposite approach. Finland, if you're in kindergarten, you might be in school a total of 20 hours, and you will have 0 minutes of homework in kindergarten. High schoolers typically have somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes of homework a day in high school. Where they make up for it is they're in school for 40 hours of the week. But they're doing their homework in class, and they're just finishing it at home. So it's not instruction for 50 minutes, and then the quick assignment at the end for you to go and figure it out on your own if you didn't in class, or practice it wrong for hours on end. It's you have the opportunity for half of class to practice it, and if you don't get it, raise your hand and ask a teacher. Ask that instructor, the person who's an expert who can teach you. Imagine how much different your homework experience would have been if you could have raised your hand for the first half of your homework assignment and asked for a teacher to help you. So what has happened 30 years from then? Today we have a major issue in the United States education system that is so systematic and problematic that it's starting to affect college level work. Finland, on the other hand, typically their high school graduates speak 5 languages, have taken through calculus, physics, and other high-achieving courses that would count as college credit. And this isn't your above-average high school student. This is your normal high school student. But they've made it so that learning isn't a burden. They've made it so that learning is still enjoyable, but challenging, by making this homework load that is what really burns out students a lot less. I am sure that if we did this, no child would exclaim like the final stanza of the poem I started with. Homework, oh homework, you are last on my list. I simply can't see why you even exist. If you disappeared, it would tickle me pink. Homework, oh homework, I hate you, you stink. Instead, they would be happy to do their homework as they would realize it's a great way to solidify what they've learned in class and what they began practicing there. So please, as we approach these next election cycles for local elections, think about those people who are helping raise our next generation and how they're influencing the teachers who are in their classrooms, as well as how you, as you mentor people and train them, how you will give them assignments to grow themselves. Mrs. Toastmaster.
This week, to compare the United States education, Chinese people is excellent. So they send their kids come to here. In China, the students have a lot of homework. Because we have a large population, so competitive, very strong. So you have to make your kids know everything. For example, my nephew is 10 years old. He has, besides the school, they have math. They have to go to the class for math, for draw picture, English, basketball, and so on. Not just this 4. So very basic after work. My brother and my sister-in-law very busy to send him to this class, very busy. So that is only one day, Saturday, can have a time to play. Okay, so next speaker is Lawrence.
As you may know, I'm I enjoy spontaneous speaking, and so I'm always have a pocket speech. But tonight, I actually have two options, and so I'm going to give you, my audience, the option to decide what it is. I have one speech which kind of has been interesting to me over the last little bit. I started to write up a speech that I would, basically a sermon I would give if someone ever offered to let me stand at their pulpit in their church. And the other one is just a nice little kind of a parody of news and such like that. So which one do you think you would want to hear?
Preach it, brother.
Parody of news.
Parody of news. How many for parody of news? 2. How many for the 3? How many for the sermon? 2. Okay, parody of news. Did you know that we're a very angry people? Did you know that we are willing to give up everything we have to cause problems for whoever it is that believes something that we don't believe? Did you know that it's perfectly all right to go and beat somebody up and cause them physical pain, physical harm, even run over them if they are doing something that you don't believe in? This is our society. This is the way our society lives. It's got to be true. I saw it on the news. But I don't see it anywhere else. I have not seen any of my friends who are willing to run somebody over because they believe something different than me. I don't know of anyone who's willing to go out and beat up on somebody just because they look different, or think different, or act different than I do. Sure, I know people who feel uncomfortable around somebody who's acting in a way that they consider unusual or unnatural or whatever, but I don't see them going out and causing the havoc that I see every day in the news. But actually, the truth is, I lie. I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in so many years, it's unbelievable. But there is one thing that I would really, really, really love to do. I would love to go and find somewhere a copy of a 30-minute newscast in, let's say, 1978. The Vietnam War is basically over. So now we're just have normal, kind of more normal news. And then compare that to the same station and what they show as news nowadays, national level news. I think we would be astounded by the difference. Because back in the day, as they now say, you actually got some idea of what was going on in the world when you watched the news. Now, it doesn't matter. You watch conservative news? Well, it's the same thing as the liberal news. But you know what the difference is? One side saying, this little story right here is really important, and we should be really upset because this is happening. And then you get this side over here that's telling you about this little piece of news and say, this is really important, and we should be really concerned about this because this is the best thing that ever happened in the whole world. But that little piece of the news is just a tiny speck on the seashore with a wide ocean of world around us. We live in this tiny little piece of sand compared to the entire universe that we know of. And every day they find out that there's more out there than what we knew of yesterday. So how big is the ocean of the universe, and maybe multiple universes that exist, and then we're this little beautiful blue and green and purple and yellow and red in every color you can imagine ball, little marble. Who was it? Buckmaster Fuller called it the little blue marble in space. And we are in control of what happens to us on this little marble. So, my fellow Toastmasters, I proposed that we turn off the news, that we take our televisions, we open our window, and we shout, "I'm tired as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore," and throw the television out the window. Madam Toastmaster.
Speech.
For the same reason.
I'm listening news only. I'm driving the car. Okay, next section is people topic.
Thank you. Table topics. Gosh, we have just heard two marvelous speeches on subjects that are really dear to my heart. Homework. Is there anyone in here who has not done homework? My friend, tell me, when you were in school, what did you think about the homework that you were assigned while you were in high school?
Mr. Maurice.
Fellow Toastmasters, when I was in high school, the question posed to me is, what did I think of the homework that I was assigned while in high school? To me, the homework that I was assigned during my high school years, I would say it was average of 1 to 2 hours worth. On rare occasions, it would get real intense to where it was more than 2 hours worth. But as far as the difficulty, I wouldn't say it was too difficult. I guess in the context of how good I was at each subject. Because I was mostly a B student on average. Didn't really do, I may have gotten a D in 1 or 2 classes, but overall the homework wasn't too bad in the whole scheme of things during my high school years. Mr. Topic Master.
News. Gosh. You're right. You look at one side, they say one thing, the other side says something else. Our country is divided today. Heather, do you consider yourself a liberal or a conservative, and why?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I don't really want to say whether or not I am, because I know we're not all the same political party and everything, and I know how it feels to have like friends that are the opposite of what you believe in and all that, and I don't want that to kind of like taint anything. So I'd rather not say. But I'm not really very knowledgeable about politics either. My mom is really passionate about it, but and there's some things that I'm passionate about too, but I don't really feel like I have a great understanding of it, so even if I were on one side or the other, I don't think it would really be kind of fair to say that it's a legitimate stance, because I'm not, it's hard for me to follow the news and stuff. Like, I try to watch it and try to read about it, but it's kind of difficult for me. Not that it's really hard to understand, I just don't know a lot about it, so I'd rather not get too deep in that. But besides all that, I would hope that most of you are kind of supportive of liberating North Korea. That's something that I'm really passionate about. Like, I've been reading and researching about North Korea, and it's really kind of made a big impact on me, because I feel like the prison camps and what's happening in North Korea and how people are so oppressed, I feel like it's kind of really similar to the Holocaust. And here we are, and those people are suffering, and we have a chance to do something about it, and I feel like nothing's happening. So that's just something, but I would think that anybody would be kind of supportive of helping people that are just innocent and getting hurt. So that's what I'll say about politics. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, we're gonna try something different. I don't know all the names here tonight. The gentleman at the end of the table.
Justin.
Justin. Toastmasters has been around for longer than I have. And I'm 75. So it's been around a long time. Tell me, why did you join Toastmasters? And what did you look for?
Fellow Toastmasters, so I think I might have broached this topic one time before up here, very similar question. I joined Toastmasters because I was having some difficulties with work and adjusting to a new role, and needed to have a good way to make some changes. And frankly, public speaking is something I've always been uncomfortable with, even though I've had to do it quite a bit with work. But I'd been with my old employer for so long that I had a lot of comfort in what I was doing and the topics and the people I was working with, so I was able to manage it well. But it always caused me a lot of anxiety. But then with a new job and all the changes involved and new people and new materials to cover, the stresses of that and the speaking stress was too much, and I saw my performance really declining there. So this was suggested to me as a good way to build some skills and to get some comfort involved and to lower the anxiety around public speaking, and it's been tremendous help. I still have a long way to go. There's a lot of things I want to improve, but it has it's helped me address those immediate issues I've had and really progress with my job. So, and frankly, the path I was going down, I would not still have that job today if I hadn't have made the changes. So it's been a great outcome, and continues to be a positive experience. So thank you.
One more. The gentleman right here. Cody?
Yes, sir.
Cody. Tonight they're playing another basketball game. Gosh, we've had enough basketball for a while, I think. Are you a sports fan? If so, what is your favorite team and why?
So the question is about the current NBA Finals, and to be honest with you, I haven't watched a single game. I did watch a little bit the other night when I was bowling, because it was on like 8 screens. So I'm not a huge basketball fan. I occasionally watch it, but the sport of my choice would be soccer. So I played throughout my elementary and high school career, played intramural in college, and I watched a lot of English Premier League with my brother growing up. And when I get the chance, when I'm in Europe, I try to go see a European soccer game. I've seen like 5 German games when I've been in Europe, and that's always fun to go see. It's a different atmosphere if you ever get the chance to go to a European soccer game. People are more passionate, everybody's friendly, everybody has a great time, And it's, you know, not as, I don't know, it's typically, like, I've been to some American pro games and people kind of sit back and, you know, watch the game and don't really get into it as much, but the Europeans tend to be a little more lively bunch. So if you get a chance, go watch a soccer game in Europe, and soccer is my sport, so I do watch soccer. So thank you, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you. Excellent responses by all. This concludes table topics. Return control to the Toastmasters.
Evaluations. It's evaluator. General evaluator is a Cody.
So for tonight, we got to do the voting, which was interesting. We got all positions filled except for the secretary, so we got to get that. Hopefully somebody will decide they want to be secretary and fill that. So we had 2 speeches for tonight. Our first speech was done by Thomas, and the title was Homework. So I learned a little bit about the difference between Finland and the U.S., and that was very interesting. And for the evaluation of that will be Justin, and I'll have Justin come up this time to evaluate Thomas's speech.
Hello, Toastmasters. So I'll be evaluating Thomas's speech on research your topic. The speech was on homework. So there are a lot of great things about Thomas's speech that I enjoyed. One thing was the incorporation of the poem. I thought that made it very interesting, and you had that poem incorporated in the beginning and then towards the end. And the poem really worked really well to describing your goal with the speech, so that was really interesting and caught my attention. You had some good facts stated about Finland and comparing it to the education system in the United States. It's always good to have a comparative benchmark when you're talking about something like that, showing a different path that you can go down. Because we tend to be very fixated in what we're used to. And there's all kinds of ways to approach these kinds of problems and to see something different and how that works, and most importantly, the results that come out of that I think were important. So I thought the topic was well researched. I thought Thomas made his points very well. I thought that the purpose of the speech was clear to all of us about making changes to America's homework policies and the way we approach it, the time spent at it. And I think that Thomas made a very good case in changing that system because of the support that you can get from your teachers and your fellow classmates and improving the quality of that schoolwork. It hadn't occurred to me. I always hated doing homework at home and the time spent. And if I'm in a group suffering together, I'm going to learn more and I'm more likely to get it done. Frankly, if I had to do my job at home by myself half the time, I would be much less productive and probably not working as hard. So, great speech, Thomas. Thank you.
Second speech was done by Lawrence, and he gave us 2 options, which I thought was interesting, and we decided our fate and chose the parody of news. And Heather will be evaluating Lawrence's speech tonight.
Okay. So Lawrence's speech, parody of news, I thought it was a really creative twist to give the audience the option of choosing what speech you wanted to give, and I think it shows how prepared you were having multiple pocket speeches. And from what I could tell, your speech was mainly focusing on how we are in control of what happens to us, and we should not take the news too seriously. Rather, we should not listen too much to the news and kind of make the best choices we can and try to make the right choices. So I thought that was a pretty good point made by you. And I thought that your ending, your conclusion was well built up too, and that when you got really loud and you were giving big motions, big body motions, I thought that was pretty good to get the attention of the audience, and it was a good way to kind of end on a bang. So it was a good speech. Good job, Lawrence. That's all I would have to say. I didn't really catch anything that was bad about it. It had there were good points, and I think it was built up to in a reasonable, organized way. So, as far as I could tell, it was a good speech. Good job.
Thank you, Heather, for the evaluation of Lawrence's speech. Thought it was good as well. So moving on with the agenda, we will now have the Timers report, which I will take the honor of doing. So, first speech. Thomas, you went 6 minutes and 33 seconds. Right there in the middle of the job. Lawrence, you went 6 minutes and 12 seconds. So another good job for timing. The evaluations, Justin, your evaluation was 1 minute and 13 seconds. Heather, yours was 1 minute and 30 seconds. Just under, but still covered the speeches, so good job. For table topics, Maurice, you did 1 minute and 15 seconds. Heather did 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Justin had 1 minute and 28 seconds, and I had 1 minute and 15 seconds. So that concludes the Timers report, and now Heather, you give the Marion report.
Right. Well, I was trying to keep track of any filler words, and I was paying attention, but I didn't really catch anything. I think I at least said once, but that's about it. Nobody said the word of the day, so overall, really good job. I didn't catch anything, so.
All right, thank you, Heather.
Myriad?
Yeah.
Myriad.
Did you say it?
No, we didn't. Think we're right, nobody
Yeah,
said
I
that.
didn't. Okay, that ends the general evaluator portion of the meeting. I will now relinquish the lectern back to you, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's two meetings, time to president, right?
Okay, there are no awards for tonight, even though we have at least 3 people who are closing in on Conflict Communicator Award, hopefully within the next couple of months. And let's see. Is there an educational overview for tonight? If not, we will go to the Vice President of Education with next week's agenda.
Okay, next week's agenda. I have started to take the time and make sure that we that everyone gets the opportunity to everybody gets the opportunity to volunteer. So I've started sending out that message on Easy Speak. So I'm hoping that you guys will take advantage of that in the future. When I send that out, look at what's available and make a vote. Okay, my little machine here is like slow seller's molasses in January, and here we are in June. So, okay, so for next week, I think we have Luke has come in as a speaker. He's going to give a speech about Mississippi phosphate, which is something that he studied with his group. We're getting some feedback there, Mark.
Oh, sorry about
Okay, we have invocation as Jennifer. We have I have Thomas as the general evaluator. I have Cody as first evaluator.
Is this speech going to be a 2-speech time frame?
Yes, his speech is going to be 8 to 10 minute. It's coming from the technical presentation program. I don't have a second speaker yet, so if somebody wants to speak,
I would like to do it. I requested, but I don't know how it works.
okay, yeah, it's probably in there and I just didn't get it in yet.
Okay.
Okay, there you are. Okay, so we have Cody as being our second speaker. Luke is going to be the first speaker. Cody is going to be the second speaker. That means that Cody will not be the first evaluator. Mark is going to be an evaluator. We have Katie as a grammarian, if she happens to come. David is going to be table topics, if he happens to come. Justin can be the timer. We've got Kedrick, who says that he's going to be here every couple of weeks. Maybe next week is going to be his week to be Toastmaster. We'll find out.
Okay.
And I'll fill in wherever I need. I can be one of the evaluators. I'll put me in as first evaluator.
So if there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.
I just have one.
Okay, Mark.
And that is when you send out the email with the officers, if you'll put their email address next to their name,
Okay.
and I'd like to do some time with you, Heather, to go over the responsibilities and give you all the passwords.
Okay.
Okay. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.
You keep track of the membership and help with membership tracks, so you'll be working with Heather on PR, because that's how you do membership track.
Nolan, nice to see you again.
I read the blog, literally, because when I was like, yeah, you're president, I'm like,
Yeah, we haven't met everybody.